Well, if everybody's ready, we can go ahead and get started.
Yep. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Last time on Epics of Irindal, our party had escaped the underwater undersea caverns where they had encountered a massive aberrant creature that had led a group of strange sea people along the coasts of the Ivory Coast and had assaulted and attacked and kidnapped several members of the Aarakocra tribe, the tribe of the Hermon. After following the blood trail through the water for over an hour along the coast, you all had arrived into this deep sea cavern, encountering a strange otherworldly creature that had delved into your minds, swaying some of you to act wholly against your better judgment until you were brought back to your senses. After a near fatal battle in several instances, you encountered an individual that had ultimately put to death this massive underwater serpent, whom you later come to find is the estranged and formerly missing Ada Grot, a half-orc young woman that used to be the former lover of Dazes. After accompanying the Aarakocra tribesmen back to the Verdant Embrace, you all took a much-needed rest, as well as leveling up. But upon arriving, you were greeted by Gamil, who saw and questioned you about this creature, as well as some of the events that had taken place. After which he near demanded an audience with the Elder, where you all discussed several times over what had occurred out in the deserts and the mines of the Jamila dynasty, where Gamil was attacked and his memories heavily damaged at the time. But he was requesting your assistance in convincing the Elder to take part in a somewhat dangerous ritual, a ritual you, Floof, had undertaken not but a few days before, with a device that the Hermon described as the Cistern of Reminiscence, a device that could extract and display the forgotten and or damaged memories of a person's past, usually highly emotion-filled memories of the past, specifically important to that individual. After a bit of struggle, you were successful in assisting Gamil in dredging up this memory of his assault and the subsequent death of the prince of the dynasty, his cousin, and charge in protecting. You were also shown a group of individuals, one of which you could see was some sort of large creature with fiery red eyes and a deep booming voice, but masked entirely in shadows. Another, a tentacled-faced humanoid individual of some otherworldly origin. And the final, the young female half-orc, Ada Grot, discussing some sort of dangerous and questionable deal amongst the three of them before the memory was washed away by a final blow from this tentacled creature. After going through this ritual and recovering in those moments, taking in the intensity of that moment and the emotions surrounding it, you began to hear a commotion down in the base of the Verdant Embrace, the valley of which the Hermon tribe call home. And after accompanying the elder, as well as Tellus, the spiritual leader of the tribe, and Zaisha, the leader of the Umbral Hunters, you accompanied down to the base of the valley, where you found yourself greeted by a group of tribesmen surrounding a familiar individual, one you had not seen for well over a week at this point, but nonetheless fairly recognizable. The stout, robe-wearing, red-beard, dwarven man, the Grand Arcanist Darius Oberson, the leader of the Magisterium Arcanum, was here present in the Verdant Embrace. You watch as a crowd is gathered around this individual as they... you can tell he's kind of struggling to explain his presence here, and they are more concerned about how he had discovered this location. As you all descend down into the valley with the help of some of the Aarakocra, as well as the Elder and Tellus. Now, as you stand on the outer edge of this gathering crowd, what would you all like to do?
Greet him, I guess.
You see Dazes on the outskirts. It's quite cluttered. There's a number of individuals, some of which have already drawn arrows and have them pointed directly at the dwarven wizard as he seeks to explain himself, his hands raised, but you can see he's having a bit of a struggle communicating with some of them, as he seemingly has appeared out of nowhere, and you can't understand the chirping and the chittering of some of these voices as they speak back and forth, as they speak in this sort of accusatory tone, but it is a bit difficult. There's probably 20 or 30 of these tribesmen all surrounding the Master Arcanist at this time.
Is Zaisha around by chance?
You look to your left, and just between some of the buildings and the main water supply source to your left, you see Zaisha at the back of this crowd as she begins to eye in all directions, kind of spotting this shorter individual amongst the taller tribesmen, trying to push her way in past all these individuals as well, trying to get to the heart of this commotion.
I think I'll wait for it to kind of get to the center of the group, and I'll let her, kind of start the conversation.
Of course. At first you hear, and she's having a bit of a struggle, and she's trying to push some of these individuals aside, and this goes on for several minutes before behind you all, you hear what starts as a low whistle of a caw that turns into this ear-piercing screech from directly behind you that causes you all to kind of wince at first at the high pitch of it. And you hear it coming directly behind you from the Elder Olman Germ. And you listen as all the squawking and chirping goes near instantaneously silent. I believe you all have duties to attend to. Stand aside. Now. And you hear it's not so much a threatening voice as it is just a commanding presence and a demand of authority more than anything else. And you begin to see as some of these individuals begin to step aside and clear a path towards the ginger-bearded dwarven man. At this point, you can all see him at the center of this whole commotion. A few of the individuals completely step aside as the Elder and Tellus begin to step forward, looking on at this individual with a modicum of concern, as well as a concerned suspicion as to what a stranger has suddenly done or appeared in their midst, as well as a genuine curiosity, a mixture of both.
Explain yourself, sir. What is a dwarf doing here?
And you see the Master Arcanist begin to brush himself off and try to, level his nerves a bit at being surrounded and weapons pointed at him. But you can see he has a bit of decorum as he steps forward, riding himself with a large staff in his hand. In fact, let me go ahead and pull up their picture real quick. So we have some larger visual reference here.
Is Gamil also close by or no?
You turn around and he is off to your behind you all, a few paces back. He is not intentionally, but not, overtly stepping into this matter. He's just quietly observing, a bit unsure. You can sense that there's a definite recognition here, given the station of this individual, that, he would be, completely amiss to not recognize who this is, having lived in the capital city of Callista in his former station. But you see he's sort of intentionally taking a step back, just kind of observing before, stepping into the conversation. While this is going on, what are you all doing as you now have a clear view of the Master Arcanist standing amongst these various hunters and tribesmen?
I'll look to Trash and Dazes and say, "Who's that again?"
I honestly do not recall all of the details of our meeting him, but I believe he is the overseer of the Magisterium Arcanum.
Mm-hmm.
I nod quickly, like,
I just
okay.
break it down like super powerful magic man.
I nod quickly, like, okay, yeah.
I ask again, sir. Why are you here, and how did you find this place? Of course. I am Master Oberson. I am a executive member of the Magisterium Arcanum. I'm here on behalf of one of our astute members, and I was asked here to observe one of our associates. And to see that they were in good health.
And you look over, and at this point is in time, Trash, you see as he turns his head and spots you just off to the right and behind the Elder.
There she is right now. This is, yes, Trash, how are you doing? I was asked here to come and find you by Lady Catherine. She was, quite worried, to say the least. She was, concerned that you might be in danger, and asked me. I was, returning a favor she had done me recently, and she asked that I come and find you and assert that you were well and not in any imminent threat.
My eyes squint suspiciously.
I'm also wary.
Say, well, I appreciate it. She did leave me a really cryptic message last we had chance to communicate. Is she okay? I've something kind of strange happened between what we normally communicated, and I meant to address it, but a lot's been going on here.
You don't say. She struck me as a bit flustered last time we spoke. It was not but less than a day ago. Can
I show him the broken sending stone?
You go ahead and show him the stone.
Yeah.
As you hold out the shattered sending stone in the palm of your hand, he kind of steps forward, still his hands in the air as he steps closer to you, past the elder, who just, you can see, is just staring daggers at him at this point.
My apologies. I'm here to see this individual in particular. If you don't mind, we will speak in due time. Of course, of course. Oh my. Is that a sending stone? Or what was left of it, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And did it come in contact with something? Why is it shattered?
That's what I was hoping you might be able to figure out.
Well, there's a number of reasons this might have occurred. A great amount of force from a magically charged weapon of some sort of dispelling magic, of course, or something may have disturbed the magical link between the two devices, so much so that it shattered on your end as well. Quite an interesting phenomenon. I have not seen this before, but I've heard of situations such as this.
I'm gonna ask you, why Catherine not say you coming?
She was rather flustered, and she stated that you were outside of a means of direct communication at the time. She seemed rather worried when we last spoke in person, and then, of course, just not but a few hours ago, she messaged me directly and asked that I come and find you as quickly as I could, if available.
My eyes remain squinted.
I understand. It's not typical for me to come and work amongst the field these days. I typically stay primarily in the capital city of Callista these days, but given that Catherine is one of my personal apprentices of many years and a profoundly important member of the Arcanum, I asked that she divulge what was bothering her, and she requested that I perhaps return a favor and come and see to this personally.
Can I tell if he's lying?
Go ahead and give me an insight check.
Alright. Damn it.
As far as you can tell, he's just a concerned individual. You definitely get there's an amount of confusion on his end as well about this whole situation, but other than that, you don't sense any ill intent.
Alright. I
You can
nod
see he's
slowly,
okay.
suspiciously.
It's hard to tell. He seems flustered, but that could most certainly just be the fact that he's still getting weapons and
Yeah.
eyes drawn on him by dozens and dozens of people.
If it'll ease the tension here, I did cast Locate Person when I got in the general vicinity of where I thought you might be. It took a bit of doing, but after locating your general personage, Trash, given my familiarity with you and, of course, Catherine, I polymorphed myself into a large eagle and flew onward here as quickly as I could. I didn't have the exact location, or I certainly would have just teleported here, but given the not so welcoming entourage, I imagine that wouldn't have ended as well. But then again, I'm sure these individuals are not as familiar with those who are proficient in shape-shifting either.
I don't want to roll to see if you lie too.
You can go ahead and give me an insight check. 16. You gather that, I mean, he seems flustered, but again, most of which just seems pretty normal given the fact that he's had arrows and weapons pointed at him.
Fair.
He seems to be very much out of his element. That he seems like a man of academia, and he's now in a unfamiliar place around very potentially hostile individuals.
Well, guys, like, as an aside, I'll just be like, I mean, I don't really know him very well, but I do trust Catherine a lot, and if she trusted him enough to send him our way, I think maybe, we should maybe hear him out, or at least maybe have a private conversation with him later, because I don't really know what's going on. But I do know that I did have a really weird conversation with Catherine, and she seemed to allude to something strange that might be following us, so I don't know.
He's following us, right?
After she asked him to, though. So something or someone else might be following us, and I don't know what. And now I don't even know what's happened to Catherine. And
I keep a hard, suspicious gaze on Darius the entire time.
Are you all having this conversation covertly, or are you
as covertly as we can, given the fact that we're not really,
Yeah.
Go ahead and give me a group stealth check, if you don't mind, to see how well you can keep this under your breath here, given that you're in a kind of open area.
Oh, I'm a Whisper King.
Unusual for you.
Yeah.
okay, not bad. Was that stealth? Do I roll that with advantage now? Huh.
If you're attempting to, I would say it not
Only
in
if
this
it's, like-
instance.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I am proficient in it, so I roll.
Right.
I roll a 20 total.
20. Okay.
Can't wait for Disease to roll a 1 and accidentally yell.
I'm still the loudest one.
No. You feel fairly confident that no one can really overhear the finer details of your conversation, other than that you are kind of talking amongst yourselves.
I understand. I'm well and truly not here to harm anyone or incite any sort of damage or spark a incident in the region, I assure you. I am simply here on behalf of Lady Catherine as a favor to a colleague and a former pupil. She seemed deeply worried about you, Trash.
I could say the same about her.
I understand.
We're okay, right?
She, unfortunately, and this is coming as her mentor for many years, she, does have a bit of a habit of sticking her nose where it ought not to be. As I'm sure you've noticed, she is, very direct in her methods. Very capable, but very direct. And unfortunately, that does... Well, despite the fact that she's not much younger than I am, but she wouldn't show it, given that her elven lineage. But, she is capable, I will say that. But, yes, I agreed to come here on behalf of her, as I said, her former master. And I also wish to make sure that you are all right as a potential member, future member of the Arcanum as well. We've, well, not to divulge too much, but I've had a rather interested eye upon you personally after our first meeting. And I would love to speak with you more since I'm here and available, and of course if I need to further massage these tensions. And your name is, you may call me Elder. Yes, of course. The Elder Tribesman here. Perhaps we can have this discussion outside of less tense circumstances, perhaps? As he kind of eyes the three of you and the Elder. And he watches Tellus kind of approaches. Yes, I'm interested. And you watch as those lens-like eyes go wide again as she kind of eyes, and you see the Elder kind of jump back almost from the sudden like twist of this head that kind of like cranes around the Elder, and looks at him while the body kind of remains off to the side. And it's, again, you can tell that there's no ill intent meant to it, but there's just this strange creepiness about Tellus that most of you have already experienced at this point.
I think you get used to.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe any more commotion would be unwarranted. Why don't we all make our way back to the we'll go to my home. And you hear him kind of call off to a number of the tribesmen, and he looks behind him at some of the folks that are still moving about. And again, you hear another series of these high-pitched screeches, and they all just kind of, you see the feathers ruffle as they all just immediately, like children that have been caught, trespassing in places they're not supposed to on conversations, and they all just begin to disperse very quickly. But you watch as individuals begin to step aside and leave. And go about their business as you all are left relatively unmolested in the center of this segment of the valley.
Suppose we can move along.
Very well. Another series of conversations you hear in the Aarakocra language between the Elder, between Tellus, as well as Zaisha.
and you watch as some of the hunters kind of approach you, but not in a aggressive manner, but more so to assist with bringing you back to where you were, but not a few moments ago, back in the upper areas of the verdant embrace. As you suddenly feel a group of talons grasp you by the shoulders once more and begin to carry you. And you watch as this is happening with you all. You hear this. Oh, I'll be just fine. I'll follow once you get to where you need to go. And you watch as the elder kind of shrugs off the attempt to grasp him with the talons as he kind of steps aside. But once you all have been brought back to that upper level, one of the, like, about 3/4 up the southern edge of the verdant embrace, or I'm sorry, the western edge, the western edge of the verdant embrace, you suddenly hear this loud pop, and almost like this sharp snapping sound, as you watch out of like a singular point, the form of Master Oberson appear beside you all, as he casts some sort of teleportation magic, and appears beside you all. Interesting. Yes. It has been much time since I have seen such magics. Yes. As you hear Tellus kind of float down beside him. Again, this kind of unease as she does, but continues to observe him unabated. But you all are escorted back inside, where not but a moment ago you were sitting around this bubbling cistern. And once you enter back into the abode, this warmly lit and that has a strong scent of herbal tea, with the cistern now completely still and silent, sitting in the middle of the room. The level of water just barely rippling as people step around it, but otherwise completely still. You watch as the elder takes his seat again at the opposite end of this circular room. Tellus sitting beside him. And shortly after you all had entered, you watch as Gamil steps in, but doesn't immediately join you all, just kind of stands beside the door and watches from afar and listens to the discussions taking place.
Again, my apologies to you all. I can understand if I'm trespassing in a region I am wholly unwelcomed, especially as a citizen of Callista. I know that the peoples of this region, and of course the members of the dynasty and the ruling family in particular, are not of the best of negotiations as of late. But I must assure you, the Magisterium Arcanum operates wholly in and of itself. We are not adherent to any political power on the continent. So, with my deepest apologies, know that I do not wish any harm to your people. But again, I did not expect to find such a place when I was searching for our associate here. Of course. But find her you have, and found our home you have. As such, I have concerns for our safety. Do you not understand? Oh, yes, of course. I understand you, would not want this bastion of safety and homestead to be exposed to the world. I know as many of our colleagues value their privacy deeply, and the sanctity of their research, that I can understand you value the same things with your friends and family and your community.
You watch as the elder kind of sits down cross-legged and sets his staff on his lap. This kind of like crudely twisted, almost like a live edge branch that's kind of been molded into this ornate staff with various jewels and things encrusted and hanging between the upper and lower portion of this half moon, almost crescent-like shape, but still retaining its natural sort of curvature from as if it were plucked from an ancient oak tree. With this deep, almost mahogany-like stain all around it applied. You can tell it's definitely been worn in areas and then reapplied and then worn and then reapplied, that there's just layers and layers of this like lacquer over it as he kind of rests.
Do you mind if I have a bit of a smoke?
As he pulls out this equally like handmade, slightly metal wrapped pipe that he pulls from his robes.
I do not mind. In fact, Alice, would you mind serving tea for everyone? I imagine it will calm the nerves as we discuss.
Yes, of course. Yes. Ah, yes, I have fine leaves all around. Yes.
And you watch as she begins to reach her long, clawed hands. Like, you can see the feathers, like, kind of extend further up, and, like, some closer to the talons have kind of receded over time in her age. And it just kind of gives more of this, like, as she stretches out and begins grabbing various boxes and bags that contain various tea leaves. You can see it just kind of gives more of an unsettling visage as she like claws from these upper shelves. And these, whoa.
Okay.
Sound effects. But as this is going on and you hear this discussion, what are you all thinking and doing?
I personally just still have a bad feeling about Darius with Obasan being here and explain, just because I don't know, his timing is convenient after Catherine says we're being followed, and I'm just wondering in my head anyway, like, why wouldn't Catherine just come instead of sending Oberyn? I'm not saying any of this out loud, but this is just what I'm thinking, and I'm just kind of still keeping a suspicious eye on him. Whether it makes sense or not, that's what Floof is thinking.
I think I just really want to see where this conversation is going to go. It seems like it could be interesting, and I'm also keeping an eye on Camille to see if he is
Oh yeah, did he come?
going to decide to, I guess, enter himself into the conversation at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You watch from the other end of the room, kind of opposite of where he's at right now, as the room's circular in shape. You can see that the elder's kind of sitting at like 12 o'clock of the face, and you all are kind of down towards like 7, 8, and 9 as far as like the hands of a clock. You can see Tellus is kind of haphazardly moving around the room. Gamil is kind of at this point in time, he's standing by the door or the opening of this residence, closer to like 4 o'clock at this point in time. And you see that Master Oberson is directly at 6 o'clock, just off to your right along the circular circumference of this room.
Face off.
Just to give you a kind of an interpretation and setting the stage for this discussion. So he's kind of directly across from the elder. But Gamil at this time is definitely observing. You can see he's just watching, but has remained silent as he kind of stands closer to the entrance as he watches and listens. And Trash, what are you doing during this encounter?
I think I'm just kind of just listening and just trying to take everything in, because there's a lot of questions that I have, and I feel like I'm just trying to get a grasp on everything. Like, I still want to know what's going on with Catherine, if she's okay, and who is this mysterious, being or thing or person that's following us, and just kind of what our next steps are for our group as well, because yeah.
You know what else I'm thinking? He said he used the spell to find you as like a detect person or something like that, or find person.
Mm-hmm.
I know Bill is more of a machine than a person, but I'm curious if that kind of spell would work on
Maybe.
like,
Yeah.
tracking him.
Maybe we can bring that up too after we have like a moment, because that's another loose end, is we still don't really know the whereabouts of Billet.
As you're all kind of thinking amongst yourselves and listening to the small talk of the elder and Master Oberson, you suddenly hear this kind of back and forth conversation kind of break off as Master Oberson turns to you, Trash.
If you don't mind, I'd like to know, as I said earlier, Catherine seemed a bit out of sorts when we spoke in person, and then, of course, she cast Sending to talk to me directly. And she seemed unnerved a bit. I wouldn't say scared, but anxious. Far more anxious than you, I'm sure, are used to seeing her. She's quite... she keeps a strong, capable demeanor, as you've seen many times. It's one of the few times even I've encountered this in recent years. She generally holds herself quite well and smothers such emotions. So for her to contact me in such a hurry seemed extremely out of sorts. Do you mind sharing what she mentioned to you? I'm of deep concern at this point.
Do I recall what was said? I mean, I just remember her saying that, like, she mentioned that she was worried because, like, that we were being followed, right? That was
the message exactly the way it was before the stone shattered. You heard the words, "They, looking to find, must avoid," in the name Kerventan.
which we had, which Floof helped us out with.
Yes, you translated to roughly...
Spell Eater?
Spell Eater, yes.
Okay, so I know I can tell the group is a bit wary, so I will kind of just give them a look before I decide to share this. Is it okay if I share this information? Floof, Dazes? It's all eyeball communication right now.
I will nod softly.
I'll give a little shrug, like, yeah, whatever.
Okay, so I will share this term or this word.
She mentioned the name of Kerventan. That's unsettling. That's a name I've not heard in my day-to-day, if not for many years. It's the name of a powerful creature of old. Well, It was a name given by the Aelin Prima to a creature of legend, well, in layman's terms, an ancient red dragon, known as Kerventan, or in the common tongue, as you mentioned, Spell Eater. But he has another name. He went by his true name was known to many as Vesuvi. But to cities and those who experienced and lived to tell the tale, he was known as Spell Eater, or Kerventan by the Aelin Prima. He used to, as the rumor goes, that he had a horde in the Vanarut Mountains, the ranges just to the east of the Dwarven Dominion, where my kinfolk live now, where I grew up before discovering and coming to my latent abilities and was, recruited by the Magisterium Arcanum. I've not lived there in many years, but I am quite familiar with the ancient tales. That being said, rumors of Vesuvi ended decades, if not millennia ago. The name has not been, and the creature itself has not been seen, if it even existed wholly in reality, has not come into the common understanding or the recent histories, and as I stated, hundreds of years at this point. But if Catherine is... she wouldn't sensationalize something like this. Either she truly has encountered or is concerned for the presence of this creature, or someone or something is assuming its identity, and what ends I do not understand, but I am none the less concerned if that's the case. I don't know what your understanding of dragonkind or their ilk is, but they are not known for being the most delightful of sorts to speak with or even encounter. In most cases, those who do encounter don't live to tell the tale, at least among the chromatic of their kind.
Okay. Well... this is questions on top of questions.
Indeed.
Don't know what to make of this.
I will say that Catherine mentioned she was on a recent expedition to the Vanarut. Perhaps this is what she was describing. Which makes sense, given that the legend of this creature, this ancient dragon, was of that region. That's all you received before the stone broke, correct?
Yes.
Interesting. Something I will need to ponder for some time. Give me just a moment, if you don't mind. And you see him raise his hands up. I'm not casting anything of ill intent. I'm simply trying to contact Catherine. He's looking directly at the elder as he says this.
and you begin to hear this slow muttering of an incantation. And for the most part, Trash, you can hear that it sounds very much like the incantations you've heard. To a certain degree, there's always a bit of flair and almost like penmanship to a writer or calligraphy to the way words are spoken to cast spells. Every individual casts in a different way and has an individual sort of flavor to their spell work.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of hear a mixture of Dwarven. You kind of recognize it, but I don't know. Do you speak Dwarvish?
I think I do, actually. Where are my languages? I speak Dwarvish.
You hear a mixture of Dwarvish. There's some elven undertones, and then there's some other ancient, more primordial words mixed in there. You hear references to the goddess Mystra as these words, and it's almost like he's beseeching the weave itself, the underlying currents of magic in the world to carry his words, is what you understand from the bits and pieces that you do recognize, and you do understand from the languages that you know. That it's almost like beseeching the goddess of magic to carry his words across the ley lines and the weave of magic across the continent to its intended destination. And there's this sudden silence as he grows silent.
Catherine, I'm here with Trash. I wish to know that you are all right. If you can hear me, please let us know.
And there's a silence for a minute. 2 minutes. Nearly 10 minutes go by in silence, other than you hear the shuffling of Tellus as she's mixing tea leaves and hanging them over a boiling pot in the center of the room over this still lit open fire that's kind of slowly billowing smoke up through a hole in the ceiling. But other than that, you hear no words before you hear,
"Oh, that is concerning, to say the least. Catherine is usually quite punctual in response. I don't understand why she's not responding."
Great. Catherine's dead.
I hope that's not it.
I sincerely doubt it, but there are situations where sending is impeded, or simply she might be asleep. I would imagine not in this day and hour, but or perhaps she's in a region that is somehow untouched by the weave itself, and I don't understand. It's difficult to understand, but there are situations where sending would fail.
Catherine's a very capable person. I think she can
Indeed.
take care of herself. I don't think it's anything like that, but I am worried.
Rightfully so. But I will try again in due time. But
You mentioned casting locate person to find
well,
me?
a derivative of locate creature,
Could
as
you
it's known.
Could you try to locate Catherine?
I can certainly give it a go. Just a moment here.
and he reaches below his robes.
I'm not doing anything unsightly.
And you watch as he kind of pulls this large tome, seemingly out of nowhere, within his robes. A volume of a book that seems like it would definitely show under normal circumstances, but it seems like something is kind of masking the mass of this large tome that he pulls from his robes and sets in his lap. You can see it is probably 3.5 inches thick along the main binding, but the outer edge is even wider because there's all sorts of like notes and various pieces of parchment and markers jammed into the other side, so it's even wider on the open face. As he kind of whips it open, and you see there is just all manner of scribbling on some of these pages, just notes from years and decades of this large tome in his lap.
Sorry, this is not one I keep readily on hand. It's not a usual day-to-day spell, if you catch my drift. Give me just a moment here.
Day-to-day?
Well, yes, I can certainly cast certain applicable spells in time, but it's not something I keep prepared every single day. This is a complicated spell, mind you.
This is the find person spell?
This is the locate creature spell.
Okay. I said, didn't you just use it like an hour ago?
Well, yes, but I spent the time. If I don't prepare it in the morning, I must memorize these things. Do you not have a concept of educated magic, young man?
I squint as hard as ever.
He absolutely does not.
Hey.
Understood.
We don't.
In layman's terms, my memory is capped, as you must understand. I am an intelligent person, but even I cannot remember every single thing I've studied over the years. That's why I take notes.
Notes?
And it, cast in a certain way, minimizes the impact upon my magical reserves, if you understand. There's only so much I can do during a day based purely off of my capable hands, but even I have my limits. That is why I write these things down.
I put my hands up in a caught like motion. Say, all right.
And Trash, as he's saying this, he's trying to kind of explain it. You would be of the understanding, having listened to Catherine, you've not seen it, this sort of methodology in casting used by her very often, but you have seen other members of the Academy, or the Magisterium Arcanum, sort of take these longer periods of time to cast certain spells.
Mm-hmm.
In order to kind of space out the stress it puts upon the body and the capabilities of the caster, as he tries to cast this spell. Give me just a moment. I don't remember the...
Do we have our tea already by this point?
Yeah, at this point in time, Tellus is sort of ladling out into various clay cups some of this strong-smelling tea. It's got this scent of hibiscus, lemongrass, and a couple other herbs that kind of are complementary to those primary ones that she kind of divvies out to you all.
Nice.
Yes, I can certainly cast it. It will take a bit of time, though. It takes me about, this day and age, I used to be faster in my younger years, I must admit, but about 10 minutes to cast. If you don't mind waiting, I can certainly try.
I mean, that would be really greatly appreciated.
Okay. Of
I think we
course.
got 10 minutes.
If you don't mind, Elder Gelm. You may call me Elder Gelm. Of course, Elder Gelm. If you don't mind, I just need to spread around a bit of this salt and chalk and Do what you must do. Just make it quick. Of course, of course.
And you watch as he begins to slowly space out this circle that's about 2.5, 3 feet wide in diameter, with various runes that he pulls out this bit of charcoal as well as a piece of chalk, which he kind of presses between his pinky and his ring finger on one hand and between his middle finger and his index finger as he kind of simultaneously draws these various runes around this circular deal in a very, dexterous movement as he kind of follows without even looking down at what he's drawing most of the time, as he's completely and wholly staring at this tome in his other hand. You can tell he's a stout individual, or a short individual, but he's very hardy. You can see like his arms are fairly like robust for a individual who primarily focuses on casting of spells. But you can see he's done this many times as he kind of etches out these runes on the ground to begin the ritual casting of Locate Creature.
Okay, well, I'm having to put quite a bit of energy into this. This is, at its base form, is not capable of extending more than much more than a mile out, but if I pump a bit more energy, if you will, a bit more of my connection to the weave into this spell, I might be able to extend it out well past to the northern coast to try to locate Catherine. So, just a moment, and you watch as he presses down his fingertips into the outer edge of this circle, and it alights in this soft, bluish-white glow. And you watch as his eyes kind of spread wide and go completely white, as he's beginning to cast this spell. And he's near motionless like a living statue for about 30 or 40 seconds before... That was unexpected. She's not in the Vanna route. She's in Callista. At least, from what I can tell, she's far from where she stated she was. I wonder why she told me that she was on an expedition into the Vanna route if she intended to remain in the capital city. More importantly, why would she not answer my sending if that was the case? I don't have an exact location, but I would imagine somewhere she's quite close to the Golden Plateau.
I'll ask, alive?
Yes, very much alive. Otherwise, this spell would not work. It's not find corpse, it's find creature.
I'll look at Trash and say, captured or betrayer.
I don't know, but this whole thing, it seems strange, and I think maybe if the spell says she's there, I think we try to go back and maybe get in touch with her.
You intend to leave the Verdant Embrace? You hear the Elder speak.
Well, and then I kind of look at my two companions and say, I don't know if is there anything else we can do here? Or...
It is not a matter of what you can do. It's a matter of what you might do or what others might do with the knowledge of where you are. I cannot let you leave at this time. Do you understand? you all have knowledge of this secretive place. There are those in this world who would do undue damage if they knew where we were right now. Do you understand?
I shake my head no.
There are those who would raise this place were they to find out where it is.
And he looks over to the Master Oberson.
Much like your friend, the Sultan Gesh. I would imagine he would not hesitate to overstep our boundaries were he to know exactly where we live.
You hear for the first time through this conversation, Gamil speak up. I would not hesitate to argue that that is a distinct possibility. That he, well, given the strained relationship, that he may act brashly. I would imagine he would not attack your home, Eldegam, but he might send a contingent of individuals here.
As I would imagine. We do not see eye to eye. Your uncle, was it? Emil?
Yes.
We have a tenuous relationship at best. So, as I repeat, you are not allowed to leave at this time. Am I understood? You pose too much of a risk.
We can never leave?
I did not say this. I said at current, you cannot leave.
What we have to do to leave?
I cannot answer that at this time. But until our people's safety is protected, I must make certain that you cannot leave.
Do you know how long we may have to stay here?
I do not have an answer yet. At least until I can be assured that the dynasty does not come knocking at our doors.
Well, as an aside, can I ask, I'm trying to remember what happened last time when Gamil was doing that ritual. What he uncovered? His memories were modified or something like that?
I think there's just like a really weird conversation, and we recognized Ada and then a couple other weird people, and they were talking about some nefarious shit.
Okay.
I'll look to Gamil. You know him? And point to Oberson.
Oh, yes, of course. The former captain of the Silver Talons. Yes, You are the nephew to the Sultan of the dynasty, Sultan Gesh. I don't believe we've ever spoken directly. It is a pleasure to meet you. I heard word that you were exiled from the dynasty, of course. I apologize, I don't mean to bring up old wounds, but, yes, I am familiar with Master Camille here. Maybe not in a direct sense, but I know of you. But this...
And I have an above-the-table question, I guess.
Sure.
Was Oberson, on that council when we were in the capital, or am I mixing wires?
When you met the Sultan, yes, he was there. He actually spoke with you all when you walked back with him towards the main central hub of the Magisterium Arcanum, the main, the primary location of the Magisterium is in Callista.
Okay.
It is a large marble and onyx tower that it was been magically constructed atop the golden plateau. Or, I'm sorry, the silver plateau. Yeah, it's just below the golden plateau where the palace is.
Okay.
Well, I'm in no hurry at the moment. I had planned on taking a bit of a extended leave and a bit of vacation time, a holiday, if you will. So I'm not strictly saying I cannot stay here for some time, but perhaps in a few days we can discuss the matter again, or in some time, Eldergam, if you don't mind making some accommodations for an older man such as myself. Of course. We will see to it that you are taken care of as a guest of our people. I don't believe that you pose any imminent threat as long as you keep your magics to a minimum. Of course, of course. I don't wish to step on any toes. I must admit, I most certainly could leave at any time of my choosing, but I choose to honor your wishes as a show of good faith. And we appreciate that. I must protect the safety of my people at all cost. As Camille well knows, we live in tenuous times with the dynasty, and I must do what is best for my people. It is not a personal matter, as it is a matter of duty. Of course, of course. Well, that gives us a bit of time at least, and in the morning I can certainly try to, I'm a bit tapped if you don't understand. That was quite a trip to venture out into this neck of the woods, and, early in the morning we can certainly try again, and perhaps I can teach you a few things, Trash, about, to assist you while I'm here, if you don't mind. And I would love to discuss further. We didn't have too much time last time we met, to discuss your potential of joining the magistrate. I would love to discuss that further with you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Of course, of course. Yes.
I'll put a finger in the air and to Oberson and Elder Oman say, find missing friend metal friend, but and I'll look to trash. Billet.
Yes, I know you've had a long day, so I was going to bring it up perhaps tomorrow once you had rested, but we had a traveling companion with us. His name was Billet. And
Quite an unusual name.
I had already notified. Who did I tell this to? I think.
I know you spoke with Zaisha about it.
Yes, Zaisha. I don't know if she's found out anything, but our friend has gone missing, and he is he is not technically human. He is an automaton. So.
One of the awakened. Yes, yes. There's quite a few of them around Callista. And, of course, the magistrate has tried to reverse engineer their complicated nature several times, fortunately unsuccessfully. The ones that you see generally performing manual labor around the city are crude imitations, to say the least, of the complicated spellcraft of the Aelin Prima. Nothing like the sentient automatons that you seem to be describing.
Mm-hmm.
They are, at best, capable constructs, more so than autonomous entities.
Yeah. He was certainly full of personality and in charge of his own destiny, and we are a little bit worried.
Of course.
For many reasons, but we've lost his trail, and perhaps if your spell would work on him, maybe you could help us while you're in town anyway, to try to locate him.
It would be my pleasure. But with that, I hate to burden you, Eldicam, but I seem to be a bit peckish. You wouldn't happen to... Of course, we will gather up some foods and provisions, and when you are accompanied, we will bring something quickly. Delightful. In the meantime, I would love to see more of this place, if you don't mind. I'm delightfully curious. I've never seen a village of Aarakocra before. It's I've known of your kind for many, many years. There's several all across the continent of Irendal, but I've never seen so many, and I've never seen the individual architecture of such a place before. I'm delighted to see how this was all crafted, and how your people, I would love to know out of genuine curiosity. You must excuse an old mage.
Dazes and Floof, as this conversation is going back and forth, what are you all thinking and doing?
I don't know why well, I guess I do know why, but I'm feeling just very suspicious of everybody and everything. I'm still curious. Like Oberson, he's a little less suspicious, but he's explained himself and tracked Catherine down. But now Catherine is obsessed on Catherine. I'm wondering why the elder won't let us leave, but there seems to be a person missing. Billet's missing. Like, did he leave? Did the Aarakocra capture him? Is that why they're not concerned about a missing person who could potentially reveal their location? I'm just kind of like suspicious in everyone and bummed that we're not trusted, even though we've kind of done a lot for these people already.
As for the whereabouts of your travel companion. Our hunters are still looking. It is difficult. This, as you say, automaton, this metal man, he has no scent. He has no features that our hunters are used to tracking. As such, it is making it difficult to find him.
I lost scent too. So
Yes.
that checks out.
He is a unique individual, unlike the fleshy creatures that we are. He is hard to pin down. He is also quite small. We are still looking, but we do not, well, I don't believe he said he needed to consume water or food, so needless to say, if he does not need to sleep or breathe or consume sustenance to survive, this means that he could travel and move much faster without delay, making it even harder to track within a perimeter of this region. I do not know why he leaves this place, but it is also concerning. But to understand, we do not wish him to leave either. If we find him, he will be brought back immediately and questioned as to why he attempted to leave. But that will be in due time. I must speak to Zaisha on this matter. And I must speak to some of the other hunters to understand what they have found. Might we reconvene in due time? Is that amenable to you all?
Don't forget about food.
Of course, of course. Anyway, we will discuss this matter further tonight. Until then, you have free reign of the village. You are friends, and of course, friends of friends. If you need anything, simply speak to one of our people. They will be happy to accommodate you to the best of their ability. We will talk further this evening. And you watch as he stands up and finishes off the remainder of his tea. You watch, at this point, Tellus, through this whole conversation, has remained relatively silent, but in the corner, you've kind of watched, kind of in this circular space, she's been sort of staggering back and forth between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, kind of walking back and forth, kind of pacing like an owl would along a fence post. And her head kind of tilting and swerving, and the eyes opening and closing like lenses as she's watched this conversation. But given the intensity of said conversation, it's kind of gone unnoticed until now, where you've seen her head just kind of turning again in that sort of unintentional but still unnerving fashion. That seems to be her calling card.
Okay.
But with that, what would you all like to do as you are escorted out of the Elder's abode? At this point in time, it's about mid to late afternoon. You can see the sun is about 3/4 across the sky between the horizon on the western edge, going towards the Great Feedy Dunes on the opposite side from this edge. Just on the cracks and crevices, you can kind of see the outer edge as you're escorted back. You see the sun beginning to fall along those western outlines. But there's still maybe a 2.5 hours of solid daylight now before nightfall. But Floof, with your careful nose, you begin to smell down at the base of the valley as you're either flown down or escorted down through some of the more walkable portions. You begin to smell what smells like some sort of roasted fish and some sort of roasted vegetable combination over one of the hanging rotisserie pits, and it smells delightful.
I am visibly drooling.
Dazes and Trash, what are you doing at this point?
Remind me how long it's been since we got back from the cave that was on the coast.
You returned back from the cave, and then you had your long rest. Waking up now, that was probably 10 going on, but somewhere between 10 and 12 hours ago.
Okay.
Most of which you spent taking a long rest. Kind of out of sorts, sleeping during the day as you were quite busy during the evening with your encounter with Her Majesty, the Vosh abomination.
Is there a tavern in the direction of the food smell?
You don't see what seems like a traditional tavern. You do see a number of the individuals in the process of cooking this large hunk of fish. You imagine probably the remains of one of the sharks that you had assisted in capturing and carrying back to the Verdant Embrace, but not a few days prior. Is now the primary source of protein on this rotisserie. But you do see that there are large jugs that are periodically being scooped up into these clay cups, these handmade clay cups, and you can smell that there is a sort of sweetness to it, almost like some sort of wine or some sort of spirit. You've been around enough bars in your lifetime to know, it may not look like a tavern or your traditional inn or any type of roadside stall, but when you see meat and liquor. And you can tell that there's if there's a large enough people around, there's probably some local hooch somewhere. You kind of get the idea that's what this is. You can kind of get the scent of this intentionally soured, sweet smell.
Well, I am going to partake in the liquor.
You all come down towards this area, and you're greeted warmly by some of the individuals cooking. There's a pair of female Aarakocra, one with a mixture of whitish, brownish feather and plumage, as well as another with a darker, almost blackish, not unlike the elder, more raven or crow-like in their feather color and plumage. And you can see that they are in the process of moving some of these liquors and straining them and distilling them into these smaller vessels from these larger pots that you can definitely get that fermented scent from. And she looks at you.
Yes? Would you like? You like to try?
Yes, please.
Yes. Try.
And she hands you a cup, like fresh from before that's even been completely filtered through a few more times. It definitely, you can see there's like still it's definitely like homemade and there's more of that residue at the bottom. And as she kind of hands it carefully to you as to not, overly mix that back into the drink, as you can feel it kind of, or watch it kind of settle to the bottom. And as you kind of cup it and hold it closer to your nose, it definitely has a sweet scent, but there's also an undertone of sourness to it. And as you grow closer to it, it's like a mixture of a passion fruit and a sour apple. And you see at the back of this darkened space, there's a number of these barrels and crates and makeshift containers. And inside them, there are these lightly pinkish fruit that they've carved off of what looks like some sort of cactus-like plant, and stored in these boxes. And then there's another container where you see they're spaced out, and they've been lightly scattered about with some sort of what looks like either rock salt but it doesn't have a salty scent. It has a sweet scent. So you imagine it's some sort of crystallized sugar or some sort of crystallized sweetener of some kind that they're sort of macerating these cactus fruits with to extract as much of the liquid as they can before they put them in these larger clay urns to begin fermenting.
Okay. Oh yeah, I'm drinking a lot.
You take a big sip, and it is sweet and it tastes delicious, but man, does it have a kick in the teeth. It is strong.
That's good. I need strong right now.
Yeah, it definitely goes down smoothly, but like the bigger the gulp you take, you can definitely it climbs up your nose into the back of your nasal cavity, and you're like, oh my god. And were it not for the fish smell and the roasting of this protein or the rotisserie, it would just encapsulate your nasal cavity.
I'll give Dazes a pat on the back. Say, sorry about dead girl. Drink make feel better?
Drink will drown my emotions. For a bit.
Okay.
As
And
you,
I'll
go ahead. Go ahead.
just gonna say, I'll pat Trash on the back and say, sorry about captured friend. Have drink.
Yeah. Thank you. I will also sit there looking about the same as Dazes and just nurse a drink.
Dazes, as you take a drink, you recall the emotions stirring in your mind. Emotions now heightened from the recent revelations and unexpected re-engagement of a individual of past, a significant individual in your life. Drudging up, in addition, old memories of your time trying to come to terms with this individual who assumed for many years had departed this world. Some of the lowest points in your lifetime before you found new purpose and understanding in your monastic tradition, and the exchange of knowledge and understanding you gained from the teachings you gathered from your master. As you sip this wine, you definitely enjoy, and it does take the edge off the situation, but at the same time, you remember that what you learned over the following years, not to enjoy, but not to overindulge, as although the edge can be taken away, it can never be fully removed. that the scars one bears, although painful, are not without their silver linings. That one's failures are not without teaching and understanding and value in and of themselves. With that being said, it is still a delicious drink at its basis form, as well as the delicious taste of rotisserie fish, as you all are treated to a warm meal, a mixture of roasted vegetables, and definitely what tastes like large roasted shark flesh. Seasoned with a variety of desert herbs and things of that nature. It is a bit mild, but still very filling. As you can see, back and forth, various individuals coming and going, joining with you along these, communal tables in front of this rotisserie location, exchanging words and, laughter at times, and, generally you get a sense of this community that as people come and go from their day-to-day lives, they just, greet these individuals. And this is sort of this community. It's not so much a tavern, but very much reminds you of sort of almost like a communal, cafeteria environment, slash beer garden, if you will. That this is sort of the highlight of a lot of individual days, coming and going and sharing a meal with friends and members of the tribe.
This is quite the... I've never experienced any place quite like this before. I've been quite around many taverns in my day. Needless to say, my people are quite familiar with indulging in their drink and their food and their revelry, but this is a different experience entirely. Not an unwelcome one, I must say. But, Trash, if you don't mind, please, I'd love to know what you've encountered over your time since we last spoke in Callista. It seems like you've gained quite a bit of experience even between the last time we spoke, that you have a different air about you. That you've seen good and bad in this world. Please, I would just love to know.
Yeah, I have seen a lot. Some of it was exciting, some of it not so exciting and a bit scary, but I definitely feel a little bit more sure of my capabilities, but there's also, many scary things out there, and I'm still kind of just trying to grapple with all of that. But since our last encounter, and then I just kind of go into all the detail of kind of the various monsters we've faced, and kind of at the heart of it is that and how the Aircocker have like the term like the Vosh, and how they all kind of at their core might have some sort of been affected by like Lunarium or something like that, and even kind of going into how Billet had started to teach me how to craft and make a boomstick, and had like my prototype, which is almost finished but not quite, because then he went missing, and
Ah, yes. I have seen contraptions such as this before. They're, more than just this billet you describe have garnered knowledge of these devices. We've actually been in the process of manufacturing these. We haven't fully refined the process, but we've utilized a variety of alchemical ingredients to create a combustible powder that can be harnessed to project, shrapnel and other devices such as these pellets and ball bearings and things of that nature. Do you mind? Might I take a look at this boomstick, as you describe it?
I'll hand it over.
He takes a close look at it, admiring the craftsmanship.
My word, this rivals even some of the craftsmanship of our more astute students and artificers. But, my dear, I see. It's not fully completed, but... Do you still have the remaining materials with you?
I should.
Do you mind if I have a go at it? And perhaps I can add a little bit extra to this device. I actually assisted a number of our individuals in this same sort of craftsmanship, not in such a succinct device such as this, but at least within the firing mechanism component. The ignition component, I am quite familiar with this mechanical mechanism for puncturing the end of these cartridges.
Yeah, whatever kind of raw materials I had, I can hand over.
You watch as he observes the materials on this bench top, and the last component you were working on was indeed the firing pin and the trigger mechanism for this device. The stock, the barrel, the sights, and the majority of it fully completed, but the most complicated componentry is in and of itself the mechanism for igniting the raw mixture of saltpeter and lunarium and other various alchemical ingredients that you saw in Billet's notes. But this device in and of itself is the most critical, as it must operate in a seamless fashion without jamming.
Yes. Let me see here. Ah, yes.
And you watch as he puts his hand over the top of the majority of the work that you had all but finished, and he kind of turns his hands and his fingertips spread out wide in this bowl, almost claw-like shape, and turns his hands together as you see the material slowly begin to vibrate and shake as he presses his hands together and begins... you watch as the materials begin to form and move as he begins to cast a variety of various cantrips to begin to meld this metal and fine componentry together into this firing mechanism. And as he's doing so, you watch as his index finger drags across the trigger mechanism, and you see a number of runes begin to form across the trigger itself. Finally etched as his finger drags across the metal. And then he hands this mechanism back to you along with the componentry.
I hope you don't mind that I add a little bit of flavor to it. But I think it's all but ready. It just needs to be put together and tested, of course. I don't have any of the combustible materials, but I would imagine here in this region that there'd be a larger concentration of the the Duster, I believe you said that this billet had given you a bit of the componentry you needed, correct?
I think so, and he was going to kind of go over in more detail how to make it, but with the small amount that was provided, I think I could perhaps, given a little bit of time, figure out the kind of ratio and the different
Now
base
that you
minerals
say
on there?
that, yes. Hold on a moment.
And he drags out that big tome again and drops it on the dining table and opens it up and begins flipping through.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. And he pulls out a folded page that he's kind of got letter folded inside the book itself and opens it up. And you see a similar alchemical basis to what you had been given and taken notes from Billet, but far more detailed and refined.
This is the, I believe the latest requisition for this alchemical component before we went into mass production in Tafar. This was the mixture of the ratio of what you'll need for this. If you have the raw ingredients, again, I can certainly assist you with finalizing their creation as a show of good faith and good favor.
Do I have everything?
You do.
Okay, yeah. I will.
You watch a similar series of hand movements and gestures, mixtures of words, as he begins to what seems like just raw chunks of metal that you had garnered from the stalls in Tafar, the floating sales barges. You watch as he presses down the material with his hands, heating up the metal with his fingertips as it is flattened to a near mirror-like flatness before he begins measuring out the various parts and pieces of this mixture, and then with his fingertips heating up ever so carefully towards the edges, you watch as this metal begins to fold just as he's and folds both ends into this finely made cartridge, which he begins to repeat and repeat over and over again. And you can see he's definitely getting faster as he's done this. It takes him about 10 or 15 minutes to do this, but you are left with 10 rounds of pistol ammo. And as you, while this is going on, are able to finally craft your boomstick. And you can add a +1 pistol to your inventory.
Yay!
Sick.
Very cool.
I added a little bit of extra oomph to the firing pin. I hope you don't mind.
Thank you. I appreciate this a lot. Thank you. This looks great. I can't wait to try it out.
Okay. We'll have to go over the intricacies of the firearm because there are some there are the misfire rules for
Yeah.
firearms. So I'll go over that with you at a later time. But just be aware of that. It is a +1 pistol.
+1 pistol. Okay.
So you should be able to find that. And I don't believe you have any features that allow it. So once you run out of rounds in the chamber, I think the pistol has, it's either 4 or 6. I can't remember. But it will require an action to reload. Unless you have something that allows you to do it with a bonus action or anything else. But there are feats that allow for that, but I don't believe you have them currently.
I have so I think per my like infusions, and so this part I'll have to double check with you like after the fact just to make sure it's
Yeah, if you have an
makes
infusion
sense.
that allows for it, then you could use that.
Yeah, because I think I took this infusion, which is repeating shot. It's like
Right. You'll just have to spend some time to move it from your current weapon to the pistol.
okay, perfect.
Well, hopefully that will help you defend yourself, so Catherine might, assuming this is all just a big misunderstanding and she's quite well and okay, but hopefully that will give her a bit of comfort knowing that you, have a better means of self-defense moving forward.
Thank you for helping me with this and taking your time to craft this item with me, and I really appreciate it.
Of course. I love learning new things and trying new things. This is always the most exciting part, and of course, sharing knowledge with the next generation of mages is, of course, my greatest delight of all. With that being said, I would like to know, Catherine's told me a bit about you, but it's only ever been in passing. She mentioned that she found you amidst Magnolia, of all places, a region of this continent that's not well known for harboring any type of non-divine arcana, if you will. It's, in fact, it's quite prejudiced and hostile towards our kind in most cases. Oftentimes those found that are not taken into our care for consideration among the magistrate are often misjudged and often mislabeled and eventually arrested and taken away. And I'm just delightfully curious where you fit into such a unique situation. I would love to know how you found yourself where you found yourself in the midst of such a hostile location to our kind, if you will.
Well, I might not have much of a story to tell you. I'll do my best to explain my kind of earliest memories, but
Yes, please do tell her. I'm ever so curious.
I don't really remember much. I just kind of remember existing one day and just being, and I don't really have like a mother or father. I siblings. I don't have family, and I don't really know of anyone that's like me, although I have tried to travel and look for someone else like me. I just kind of existed one day, and I, looking the way that you do and being formless, everyone was afraid of me or horrified or disgusted by me, so they called me trash, which is why that's my name. And I just lived in refuse and in the cracks of kind of the alleyways and city streets, and I lived in the grime, and I can take any shape, but I took the shape of rats because those are the closest thing I had to companions or family. And I just tried to learn. I learned through observing and reading through garbage and tossed papers and waste and news that were tossed aside, and everything that I owned up until recently I had acquired because people just threw it away, and I repurposed, and that's how I met Catherine, because she saw me and over time actually knew how skittish I was. She placed down a tiny little automaton, little robot, little toy, whatever you want to call it, as a bit of a gift to introduce herself, and really it was just over time, lots and lots of time, she was able to gain trust with me, and we started talking, and she noticed that I had kind of an arcane nature and started to teach me, and that's kind of how I existed.
Fascinating. You are certainly of no like that I have seen in all my days, and given what you told me, it sounds like a brilliantly fascinating individual on top of all of that. My experience over the many years is the most gifted students are those with the most open mind, forged in the fires of conviction and desire to grow and learn from whatever they're given. However great or little that might be. And truly, in this case, you are representative of the old saying that, certainly, and pardon the pun if you don't mind, but in this case, you truly are the epitome of one man's trash is another's treasure. To have grown so much from so little is, well, it's astonishing. And I'm happy to know you, and I will say that when I return to Callista, whenever that may be, of course, and given the Elder's fervent insistence on us remaining here for the time being, that may be in a few days, or who knows how long. But when the time comes, I would formally like to invite you to join our... Well, I would like to formally invite you to join the Magisterium Arcanum when the time comes, to garner formal training, if you would be so kind as to join us.
That's really all I've ever wanted, just to understand me and my capabilities, and understand that the order of this world, and learn and gain knowledge and share knowledge and explore, and I would love nothing more.
as I said, I don't know when that time will come, but know that at my first available moment, I will see to it that you are issued formal invitation, Rash. And we will see to it that you are given as much of a education as we can offer.
At this point in time, it's been a good amount of time as you all have enjoyed some camaraderie with various members of the Hermon tribe, and you're watching now as the sun is beginning to fall over the edge of the horizon, on the western horizon, through the ever so faint corner of the valley, and this outcropping of rock that extends up along the mesa. And you can watch as just as the sun is beginning to fall on the opposite horizon, you see as the moon is beginning to climb up into the sky and the darkened edge across the sea. Who was it had the object that you obtained? Who was carrying the object that you had that you didn't identify in the chest? It was a glass crystal, or what looked like
maybe. Oh.
Filled with coins, jewels, and 2 small unique. Is it the orb?
yes,
The glass orb? I don't know. I feel like maybe Trash had it.
Let's see if I wrote down anything.
Small shirt with Lunarium inside. I think I kind of remember not wanting to hold it. I hate stuff.
I think I took it.
Okay. You see a soft glow as the moonlight begins to edge over the horizon and the light begins to fall on you all. It's not quite a full moon, but it's quite full. I would say at least 3/4 full. And as this soft, warm, or soft, cool light climbs over higher and higher into the sky, and that light begins to touch upon you, you see a soft glow in your pocket where that little orb rests. And as you lift it out, you look upon it, and it's softly glowing in the moonlight as it crests over the outer rim of this glass orb. And you look over as Master Oberson eyes this orb.
My dear, where did you get a pearl of power from? I have not seen one of those in many years. This was one of our earliest concoctions when the refinement of Lunarium wasn't quite as, well, refined as it is now. But, I have not seen one of these in many years.
This was in the middle of the fish mouthful scary tentacly thing that we fought.
Ah. If I recall, there was a ring of smugglers that was a bit of a nuisance at that time. Perhaps this was among their ill-gotten gains. It would make sense, given the history of the Ivory Coast. Oftentimes, we saw a variety of items such as this, as well as raw coinage and gemstones being transported along the coast up towards some of the Orcish tribes in the north. It must have been lost to time, and of course when this creature decided to house its ill-gotten brood among the caverns, it was even further lost to time. But that is in fact what this is. It is a means of storing energy on a routine basis. It recharges at the light of the moon.
But above the table speaking, this is a pearl of power.
Pearl.
Okay.
So you guys can do with that as you will. And this one, typically they restore their charges at dawn. This one restores its charges at night, when the moon rises. So, functionally, it's the same, though. Other than that little piece of flavor text.
Okay. Would Floof know what that does? I'm guessing not.
As this little shard of lunarium encased in glass begins to glow, you don't necessarily understand it, but you feel the magics surging from it. That it has a latent ability to restore your magical energies to any type of caster that attunes to it. Mechanically speaking, it allows you to restore spell slots on a certain amount of spell slots every day.
Well, that's useful.
I believe it's up to... Let me double check. Up to a 4th level or higher spell slot.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so up to a 4th level. So you can restore a 1st level, a 2nd level, a 3rd level, or a 4th level.
Okay.
So, and it's not like you can expend or regain a 1st and a 3rd. It's either a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. So you have to choose which one you want. But up to a 4th level slot.
Yeah, might be good for you, Floof.
Yeah, canonically, I'll ask Oberson, what Pearl of Power do?
Well, it allows one to regain a bit of their latent magic that they've utilized throughout the day. You know, there's only so much magic in one body that one can muster during the day, so this gives you a little extra oomph, if you will. A little bit of extra surge so you can continue casting beyond your natural ability.
I see magic now. And I'll put out my hand and curiously just hold it.
You feel the pearl in the moonlight thrumming with magical energy. But it does require attunement.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of play with it. That's kind of gonna be what I'm doing, is just looking at it and studying it right now, and deciding if I want, because it does have the lunarium, which I do have a bit of a
Aversion
to, but I'm gonna say that as of now, we'll see if I keep it. But I am definitely drawn to and interested in the moon like power or magic from it.
You
As a
roll
druid.
it across your fingertips over the course of the next 30 minutes to an hour as you feel its intricacies, the flow of energies, kind of wafting out like little arcs of energy from the center crystal encased in glass, almost to a visual point, kind of like those what are those orbs called? Like the Tesla coils. It's very faint, but you almost see those little arcs from time to time as you begin to come in synchronicity with this object, and you can go ahead and mark off attunement after an hour of focusing on this device.
Okay.
So, as I said, this one, typically they restore their charges at dawn. This one restores its charges at nightfall.
Okay.
Mechanically, they're the same. I just did that for flavoring.
I mean, I think
Functionally,
I like
it's
that.
every day at the start of nighttime.
Okay, cool. I like to trash. Can I keep?
I hand it over and I'm like, I think it would be great. Hopefully it can help you help us be stronger, and it might help you with your relationship complicated with Lunarium.
While I look at it and play with it, I do find myself regularly staring at the Lunarium parts, trying to understand that part more as well.
I see you have a love-hate relationship with this substance, and rightfully so. One must be careful of all things in moderation, both especially those that are magically inclined. But like fire, it can provide warmth, cook our food, warm our bathwater, or light our way in the darkest of night. But when misused, it can burn civilizations to the ground and leave life in a cindery, smoldering pile. As I stated, all things in moderation, my young lad.
I think back to my mother in this moment of a smoldering world.
But nothing, almost nothing in this world is inherently evil. We are simply a byproduct of our making, our environment, and in this case, the tool is no more dangerous than a sword or an axe laid upon a table. In the hand of a noble knight, it can be used to defend and protect those we care about. Where in the hands of a raider or a bandit, it can be used to cut down the innocent and steal everything. It is simply to what end?
I will hold it tightly, indicating that I intend not to let anyone else have it.
Utilize it well. With that, if you don't mind, I do believe I need to have a discussion with Elder Cam. I don't believe if you all need to take further rest, then we can certainly do so. I know I will need to rest in very shortly as well. I am all but spent for the day. But it has been a pleasure getting to know you further. I can see why Catherine, particularly with you, Trash, is enamored. But, yes, I'm going to go ahead and, if you don't mind, take my leave for the evening. We will, after I speak with the Elder Gam. But, if you don't mind in the morning, I would love to speak further on the matter. And perhaps we can work together to convince our host to perhaps, shorten our stay.
Yes. Thank you for all your help.
Of course, of course. A wonderful night to you all, and I will speak to you all in the morning.
And you watch as he steps away to have a conversation with one of the hunters that's walking about, asking him to escort him back to the Elder. While this is going on, what are you all doing? At this point in time, the moon is ever rising into the high point of the sky, the temperature falling rapidly in the this desert environment.
I'm definitely still a little fixated on the Pearl of Power, but I am feeling I want to be close to both Trash and Disease, since I mean my trauma is a bit in the past, like obviously still with me, but I do recognize that both of them are going through some serious stuff right now and worry, and I just want to be by them.
Dazes, what is going through your mind right now? You've been rather quiet.
I think for me, considering that I don't really have that much information, and it can't really draw any solid conclusions based on anything that I know or maybe know. I'm mostly trying to what's the word? I'm not thinking too deeply or strongly about Ada and what I've learned. Attempting to not dwell on it as much. You know, it creeps back into my head every now and then, but trying to focus a bit more on what's directly in front of me, and we'll cross that bridge when it comes more to the forefront. You know, when we get maybe some more direct information, or you know, some other information comes to present itself in relation to that. But I'm compartmentalizing a bit at the moment, and probably avoiding the problem a little bit as well.
As you're deep in your thoughts, as your companions talk and you hear the squawking and chittering and mixture of common and Aarakocra all about you, almost like white noise, as you're deep within your thoughts through this whole conversation, you subconsciously find yourself rolling your fingertips across the coin in your pocket. You feel the ridges of the stamped metal, the small $50 sized coin. On one side, the bright face of the goddess of luck herself. And on the opposite side, the tarnished face of her twin sister. Two halves of fate, one and the same. As you remember Ada often flicking this coin between her fingertips. And in periods of struggle, you remember, just as you now flitter this coin between your fingertips subconsciously without even thinking about it, you remember those days on the deck of the ship. You remember her making decisions when The two of you either argued about an outcome or simply couldn't make up your minds in the moment. You remember watching that two-sided coin float through the air, head over head, before coming to a clattering clink, clink, clink across the deck of the ship, rolling about a bit before falling on one face or the other. A bit of nostalgia as you remember letting fate take its chance and its way with your progression through the world. You specifically remember that moment in time, that fateful night when you decided what way to go along the coast of Irindal in the Serpent Sea. You remember watching that coin flutter through the air as it had done so many times. Watching Ada flip it down north along the coast as the coin shines bright. South along the sea should it fall into darkness. And as it landed and you watched it roll back and forth across the swaying deck before coming to a fluttering fall. Darkened face upwards on the deck. Your choice made by fate. As you lost everything that evening. In that moment, you hear the call of your companions, breaking you out of your own thoughts and nostalgia and memories, good or bad. You come back to the present time. A bit absent-mindedly, but back to the present day as those memories fade back into the back of your mind once more. As you put the coin back in your pocket consciously, looking over at your companions. This time, the moon now high in the sky. What would you all like to do?
Can I flip the coin, actually?
You certainly can. You flip the coin. But yet, I'll let you decide. Do you want me to tell you the outcome, or do you want fate to tell you the outcome?
I guess... Well, actually, I guess I don't really know what I'm flipping the coin between, now that I think about it. So...
Do you ask the coin what outcome it will predict? And if so, what do you ask it?
I'll ask it. Should I chase ghosts?
Oh, snap.
Damn.
You rest the coin on the end of your thumb. In a swift motion, you flip it into the air as it tumbles head over heels through the cold night air, landing back on your hand as you smack it down on your forearm. Almost too hesitant to lift your fingers for the time being. But as you slowly lift your fingertips up in the pale moonlight at the base of the verdant embrace, you lift it to see the shining face of Timura staring back up at you.
Okay, I'll put it back in my pocket.
Is there anything else you all would like to do, or we can go ahead and skip on a little bit here?
I'll ask Trash what you and Darius talk about.
Well, he kind of mentioned that he would make like a formal recommendation so I can join the magisterium, and it's what I've been working towards this whole time. So I'm really happy. I just wish I could tell Catherine.
I'm gonna pick you up by your armpits and wave you around. Yay!
I'm like, oh, thank you.
Almost like a ragdoll cat, you watch as Trash's body kind of extends further than her normal form as the centrifugal force kind of stretches her out a bit before you return to your normal elasticity.
I'll
Once
set her.
puts
Go-
you
go.
down, I'll just say, I'm sure we'll be able to tell Catherine in person soon enough.
Yeah.
I'll say, at least we know she alive, and then I'll make a side eye look at Dazes.
Well, what should we? I don't want to, Dazes. I know it's personal to you, but should we ask Darius to try?
It seems Ada has chosen her path.
Hmm.
And I have as well chosen mine. And they are no longer the same path. And I believe I will have to come to accept that. If we are meant to meet again, then I suppose we shall. But for now, I think we can let things stay as they are.
In it together.
Yeah, we're with you regardless, every step of the way.
And I'm gonna say, I'm sleepy. I'm gonna grab both your hands and drag you guys back to our place. We're gonna go to sleep.
I'm down for sleep.
Very well. With the insistence of your companion Floof, you all head back to your temporary residence here in the Verdant Embrace. Although a shorter day than the prior, nonetheless you welcome the feeling of fatigue as you rest delightfully in this temporary abode, letting your thoughts meander off into blissful sleep. Until you are woken the following morning with the sound of movement, of eager days starting anew The bright sun cresting over the eastern horizon, the edge of the opposite side of the verdant embrace as the sun cascades upon the rocky edges of the western face first. It is a slow morning to fully adjust to this bright light and the changing of your internal clock the past few days, but early that morning you find yourself hearing yet another bit of a kerfuffle occurring down in the valley of the Embrace. Not quite as energetic as the arrival of the Master Arcanist, but nonetheless audible enough that you take notice of it. As you stare down, you see a number of individuals watching yet again the stout, or short, squat, but stout dwarven man, and you look on as he seemingly is talking to himself down in the base of the valley, and a heated discussion, to say the least, loud enough that even several, about 60 to 70 feet up, you can almost begin to hear words coming up the edge of the stone face of the mesa walls as you look down. A bit strange, even by wizard kind. What do you all do?
Explain that one more time. I didn't quite catch it.
You're looking down now as you look out through there's sort of cloth across these window-like openings in the rock walls of this abode. And as you push those aside and look down, I'm not sure what this shouting is about. You look down and you see Master Oberson stepping back and forth, kind of pacing back and forth, as if to kind of compare it to what you might imagine in our above the table current terms. It's like watching somebody talking on the phone, but he has nothing in his hands, but he's like shouting into the air as if talking to someone, in a very heated discussion on top of that.
I'll say to Trash, your friend acting weird.
Should we see what's going on?
Can we hear him? Is he loud enough for us to hear him clearly from where we are?
Go ahead and give me a perception check to see what you hear at this distance. The 15. You don't catch quite everything, but you do hear...
Now, Sultan, I told you that I don't understand what you are getting at. What do you mean there's been... What do you mean they assaulted the capital?
Oh dear.
You must be clear. What is going on?
And you, Trash, as you watch this, you've seen Catherine kind of had discussions like this as if she's talking to nothing. And asking her, when you first began to work alongside Catherine and learn from her, you learn quite quickly that he's likely using some sort of magical means of communication. Likely some sort of sending spell. And that this is some sort of elongated conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But to an outsider who doesn't understand any type of magic, it looks insane.
Mm-hmm.
But from your perspective, you have a bit more of context of what is going on here.
Right.
But to those who don't understand what sending is, it legitimately looks insane.
Looks like he's talking to himself.
Yeah, well, he's not, but either way, the contents of what he's saying doesn't sound good.
What do you all do?
Should we check on him? He's making scene.
Yeah, well, he made scene yesterday.
You're beginning to see that there's more and more Aarakocra kind of watching at a distance, and you can see that some of the Umbral Hunters that are kind of grouped around this segment. He's on the map here with... I'll remove y'all's tokens. Just the ones that are no longer present here at the moment. You can see
By the way, was that?
he's around the front of the gate here, kind of stepping back and forth, having this conversation, whereas you all are further on this left-hand side of the map, towards the up on the face of the mesas.
He's loud.
Yeah, not. I mean, it's diverting into shouting at this point.
Yeah, we should probably go check on him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe try to wave at him to not yell.
But are you all headed down to the base of the valley?
Yep.
Okay. As you all head out of your residence for the time, heading further down, you can continue hearing this shouting. And about halfway your progression down to the valley, it stops, but you can see Master Oberson is visibly shaken right now, and it's a mixture of frustration and concern and just a bit of that sensation of when you watch somebody unsure of what to do in the moment. As he's covering his mouth, looking down at the ground, just unconsciously moving back and forth, his mind racing and his feet trying to match the movement of his thoughts as he's back and forth, and you can see some of the Aarakocra, especially some of the armed hunters, are just eyeing him concernedly. But as you all approach, at this point in time, this commotion has already attracted. You watch as Zaisha is coming from the opposite end of the valley and is headed down towards him rapidly, landing not but a few feet away. Just a moment. And if you guys want to drag your tokens down there, you can as well. I just took them off for the time being. But you can see she lands not but 5 or 10 feet away.
Mr. Spellcaster, is there a reason why you are making such a fuss so early in the morning?
And at this point in time, you watch as Master Oberson's head turns up as he realizes his commotion that he's created.
Oh, my apologies. What can I say without divulging too much? But there's been an incident. There's been attack, if you will, on, well, the capital. Zaisha, was it?
Yes, I am Ulman Zaisha.
Miss Zaisha, I understand the fervent answer your elder gave me yesterday, but I must insist. I need to return to Callista post-haste. I need to rectify this situation and find out what is going on. There is an incident, and it involves one of our own, as well as your own. And I need to speak with your elder now. Lives may hang in the balance. I am not exaggerating this. Please. In fact, you may want to call him here immediately.
And you look over and, up until now, the Master Arcanist has been, shown, some emotion and some legitimate, but has been mostly warm and receptive and fairly unassuming. You can see there is a heat in his words now. There is a fervor in his words now. There is a borderline manicness to his words, a seriousness of life and death in his eyes.
Sorry, did we miss it? Who attacked the Capitol? Or he just knows that something or someone attacked the Capitol? We don't know.
He didn't give us any details when he walked up.
I cannot divulge that right now. That is information that I must speak with the elder about immediately.
Okay.
If he wishes to share this with you, then that is his decision, but I cannot divulge this information to anyone. Unless they must hear it.
Well, I guess we'll wait for the elder. Maybe we can convince him that we need to leave with you so we can assist.
And as you're saying that, this whole commotion has already begun to attract attention, and within probably 30 seconds to a minute, you hear that shrill cry from up about as these darkened wings come down from about 3/4 of the way up the western side of the valley as Olmangarum descends down towards you all, landing directly in front of Master Oberson.
It is early for you to be making such a fuss. What is the matter? Why do you disturb the sanctity of my people? Elder, I need your absolute truth in this moment. And I must insist. If you lie to me, there will be consequences. There has been an attack on the capital city of Callista. By no less than members of your tribe and others in this area. An attempt on the life of the Sultan himself. Please tell me you had no involvement in this.
As the Master Arcanist says this, what are you all thinking?
I hope he had no involvement in this.
Me, more or less the same. I also think about Catherine coincidentally being at the Capitol.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that too, and what we know of this whole last thing she told me, and it all just is very suspicious.
Those are strong words, Mage. My people do not start wars. So be clear with what you mean. I mean to say that Aarakocra hunters made attempt on the life of the leader of the Jamila dynasty. no less than 4 dozen of your people were attacked the palace last night. Assisted by I dare not say whom. What I ask now is that I might leave to investigate what is going on. If you truly state to me that you are not involved in this matter, I must go immediately to put right this situation. As I stated before, you are not to leave this valley. My people's safety is of utmost importance.
What are you all doing during this conversation?
I'm gonna step in and say, let him go.
How do you step up in an aggressive tone, or are you requesting? How are you going about this?
Semi confidently. I'm not necessarily demanding that he lets him go, but I'm pretty strongly suggesting you should let him go.
Give me an intimidation check.
Okay. Oh God, why is my intimidation so low?
Because we're fluffy.
You
Well.
watch as the elder raises his hand, and several of the hunters around you draw their bows and point them at you.
I'll say, friend there needs help. He could just tell anyone where you are with spells anyway.
He is right, you know. I have done no such thing. It is for your sake I must return to the capital to make this matter right. Among my own concerns for our organization. This is
Could I
allowed.
maybe
Go ahead.
Could I maybe just help? I don't know. I guess just to basically say that as nicely as I can, in good faith. If as forthcoming as Darius has been, but if even his thoughts were to ask first if your people are involved, I worry that the capital's reaction would be the same, and you have no advocate there. We have not resolved what you wish to do with your guest, Gamil, and now I think you need an advocate for your people, and I know you want to keep your tribe safe, and we want the same thing. That's why we're imploring you.
Go ahead and give me a persuasion check, Trash.
Ooh, it's not amazing. Let's see what my persuasion is. Not great. So, could I use my inspiration? How?
You're
Is that
welcome
an
to do
extra-
that. Yeah, you
that
just
just
you
extra dice?
re-roll it.
Oh, is that? Oh, it's just reroll.
Yeah, you roll the higher and take the higher.
Okay. That's a lot better. Okay. I'll take that. So that changes it to, because originally I rolled an 8. Now I rolled a 19 plus 2 is a 21 total.
We have
survived this long by remaining out of the eyes of the outside world. And in just 1 week, I have had no less than 6 people break that sanctity. I do not refuse out of malice or anything of the like, but for the sanctity of my people. So again, I must insist that you remain.
At this point, you look as the Master Arcanist stares him in the eyes.
That would not be wise. If I do not leave. Nay, you will not stop me. I will leave this place, with your permission or not. However, I would like to still return as a friend. But nevertheless, this goes above all our heads.
And as he says this, you see there's sort of a... It's very subtle, but you see a change in the eyes of Elder Garm. And he simply responds back,
And you must be swift. Return as soon as possible to assure me of our people's safety. Very well.
and he looks over to the three of you. As this is going on, what are you all thinking?
I have no particular alliance to the Magisterium or to the Eric Cockrell. I'm doing what, I can with the party. So my thoughts are with what Trash wants to do, considering her friend is at the Capitol.
Pretty much the same. I'm leaning it towards Catherine's safety at this point.
Yeah, I just my thing is I do want to ask to go with Darius, but seeing as how tense the negotiation was, I don't know that I can ask the three of us accompany him. I don't know.
Before I go, I must have a private conversation, if you don't mind, Elegam, and then I will be on my way. And as stated, I will return in due time. But, Trash, come with me for a moment, if you don't mind. The rest of you, stay here.
I looked at Dazes like, damn.
He steps past you all off to a space over here. Do you accompany him, Trash?
Yep.
I keep an eye on Trash from a distance.
He's over here behind the cart waiting for you.
Where?
Just north of where you are now.
Oh, yep. Okay. I'll move there.
promise me you won't say anything to your companions about this. I don't wish them to be any more danger than you all are. I believe right now this is the safest place you can be. But
So we should stay?
yes, absolutely. Remain here. I don't know how
Is
to...
there anything we could do?
No, not at the moment. In fact, I think you being in Callista would be the worst thing right now. I won't try to hide what's going on right now, and you should know. There was an attempt on the Sultan's life last night. From what I've been told by those present, it was members of the tribesmen here. Many Aarakocra.
Oh no.
That's not the worst of it. They were assisted and accompanied by a member of the magistrate.
It wasn't Catherine, was it?
I don't wish it to be so, but that was what I was told.
She wouldn't.
I don't want to believe it either, but until I return to Callista and I can speak with those present as well as investigators of the magistrate, I must assume the worst, but I will hope for the best. Nevertheless, I must depart as soon as possible. I don't know why, and I must get to the bottom of this. You understand, don't you?
Yes.
I will. I will return as soon as possible, and when I do, I hope to have better news. But please stay safe.
And he puts a hand on your shoulder.
Please. Stay safe.
And he steps away from you and around you, heading back towards the elder.
I'm off. As I stated, I will return in due time. And I will speak on your behalf. I ask that your people remain here and have no further contact outside of your village. I'm not making demands, I'm simply making a suggestion. For your best interest, isolation would be the smarter endeavor right now.
You watch now as he spreads his arms out wide, and you feel this thrum of energy as he brings them around the staff and slams the butt end of it into the ground, and you see this immediate arcane circle form around his feet. And mere seconds later, this burst of light as his form kind of into a singular point before vanishing. And you watch as all these hunters just step back in shock as this individual, very corporeal individual, just vanished before their eyes. And they have never seen anything like it, or anything like it in their lifetime, as this individual just disappeared before them. As this is going on, what are you all doing?
I'm watching for Trash to see how she's reacted to her private conversation.
I guess I'm keeping like Kind of sort of just like a general eye on how everybody around is looking like they're feeling.
Dazes, give me an insight check.
Okay.
With that roll, you can see there is a deep concern in the face of the elder. The accusations, not intentional, but still, nonetheless, extremely concerning. You can see even on the stalwart, stoic face of this black-feathered, raven-like Aarakocra, you can see the eyes furrowed, the position of the beak, the overall demeanor. There is an intense sense of worry as he's rapidly trying to comprehend what he's just been told. And you see Zaisha behind him, also intensely worried, but she distracts herself immediately by crying out to various hunters to go back to their posts and their positions, and go back to everyone their duties for the day. But in the whole of the time you've been here, you've not seen such intense concern across the elder's face. And a mixture of legitimate confusion. But after a few moments, he scratches his talons into the dirt and just stretches his wings wide, almost stretching out nearly 9 feet wide as he takes off into the air, beginning to ascend up towards the center of the valley. You hear up above your head those loud screeches in all directions, calling out as various people respond in kind, and you see various hunters and individuals around the verdant embrace beginning to take note, and certain individuals beginning to fly up towards his residence to gather, and you see Zaisha follow behind him rapidly.
Okay.
And it's the intensity of the emotion. It's quiet down in the base of the valley, but there is an uncomfortable void of emotion as those that do remain down here are, working on tasks and various duties of the day around this area. There's an uncomfortable silence. Kind of that, daddy just smacked mommy moment, and no one really kind of knows what to do about it. There's that awkward silence that you garner as you kind of peer around, uncertain of where you must go at this moment, without immediate direction.
I'll walk over to approach Trash and see how she's reacting.
I will try to look for as obviously a quiet a spot as I can get for the three of us amongst all the chaos. And I'm torn because I was forced to secrecy with Darius, who I'm just kind of forming this, new relationship with, and I really want to kind of honor that, especially with everything that we talked about, but also these are my closest, companions, and I do not want to withhold or lie to them. So I guess I have to address. First of all, is anyone listening to us?
Give me an insight check. Or Betty, I'm sorry, give me a perception check. My apologies.
Okay.
Perception.
Okay. I don't have a bonus. It's just 14 total.
14. You feel relatively confident that no one's directly watching you. I mean, there are people around, but no one's really paying you any intense mind.
Okay. So, we'll say that I am not supposed to say what I know. So you understand that I'm about to imply or say things and you never repeat them. You never share them. You never tell anyone else. And is on the grounds of our friendship. I'm looking at Dazes and Floof when I say this.
I nod and say, I only talk to you two.
You have my word.
So there was a reason why Darius asked if the Eric Hawker were involved, let's just say. And you see Trash is kind of struggling to say this next part because I don't think she like even wants to address the reality of what was told, but Catherine was there and I don't know. I think she's in trouble. And she may be in danger.
She was attacked.
She was there. And I don't know what's going on. That's not the Catherine I know, and I've known her pretty much my whole life. So, I don't know what's going on, but
Catherine do bad thing?
that's what it seems like, but I don't believe it. That's not the person I know.
Catherine, nice stone lady.
Exactly.
Should we
So-
go?
Well, I was
Good we
told
True.
I was told for us to stay put, that this is the safest place we can be right now because of how tense things are going to be there. But I do feel kind of antsy just waiting here and not knowing what's going on. So I don't know. I don't know what we should do.
We can't teleport like short man. Maybe we stay for a little while.
Do you trust Grandmaster Oberson's words?
I mean, I can try after the fact. Like, I guess, like, an insight on if I think he was speaking truthfully to me, maybe?
Yeah, go ahead and give me an insight check.
Okay. I think I'm pretty much, like, inclined to believe him, but I guess, like, I could try just to see if that would glean anything. Roll amazing. Insight. Nope, I don't get any bonuses. So, 11.
From what you've seen thus far, he seems on the up and up. You wouldn't garner any suspicion of his actions, and given his intense reaction, seemed genuine.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really pick up on anything like that. He seemed a bit socially awkward, but not in a malicious way. Just very much a product of his station and his understanding of a society, or his lack of understanding of this particular society, and trying not to step on toes. But that's really the only thing you garner as a flaw in his whole time being here, is just his, trying his best not to cause a scene. But this seemed far more intentional. That he wasn't really concerned about causing a scene at this point.
Yeah, I guess I convey this as much as I think I can trust Darius. I mean, he's a pretty... I don't know.
I'll say I don't trust short man, but if you do, then I do.
Well, I don't know. I know that I trust Catherine, and I don't have the opportunity to talk to her or find out what's going on. And I mean, he seemed like a pretty forthcoming person, but maybe he was just telling me everything I wanted to hear. I don't know. It's tough. He doesn't...
Seems like there's a lot of information missing.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't come across to me like a very good liar, but you know, I just wish I could. I just wish I could find out what the heck is going on, and you know, I don't know what the best move is. But I'm sharing this with you guys because I trust you two the most. So
I'm with you, whatever you want.
We're in it together.
well, maybe we maybe we can stick around for a few days, and if we don't receive any news or get an update, maybe we work on a way out of here and try to plead our case and see if we can leave on good terms. I'd rather not be on bad terms, but I think if we don't hear back in a couple of days, I think we should make next steps to see what's going on.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, we stay.
For now.
For now.
For now.
As you all make your group decision to remain here in the verdant embrace, throughout the morning there's an air of tense uneasiness that is slow to diminish. Although those who witnessed what occurred this morning are going about their endeavors as much as they can. Oh, excuse me. There's definitely a lingering concern amongst the villagers, amongst the umbral hunters, those flying to and from the gates, as well as the upper portions of the mesa walls. The air is still throughout the day. There is little or no cloud cover above this area deep in the desert. Little or no moisture gathers above throughout the year. Even this close to the coast, the arid environment draining and moving about any sort of moisture in this environment as it literally cooks across the rocky tops of the mesas and is swiftly blown away by the high winds, not shielded by the rocky walls of this area. But with that said, as you are attempting to unwind for the day, you're almost certain you begin to hear what sounds like the rumbling of thunder. That faint rumble that you hear at a distance. You're not quite sure, miles, tens of miles away. But nonetheless, you hear it. A sensation like impending storms. As you hear this, Trash, a concerned voice comes into your mind almost instantaneously.
Trash. It's Master Oberson. You need to flee. Now. His guard is coming. You need to leave. They found it. They used necromancy to find it. You need to leave now. They are angry.
You can respond. This is a sending spell.
Sorry, he said the who found it? The gods found it, or the guards?
The guard. His guard is coming.
His guard is coming.
Yes, he specifically said his guard is coming.
Okay. Whose guard is coming? Should I tell everyone here that we all have to go? Everyone's in danger. What necromancy is? I'm so confused.
The Sultan's guard. They are retaliating.
Oh no.
Flee with whom you can, but flee nonetheless. You don't have much time. They will be there.
And it cuts off.
Okay.
And as the words begin to shake in your mind and you have very little time to react, that thunder cracks just outside. Not a cloud in the sky, but yet you hear the instantaneous, as if the crack of lightning and thunder was mere feet away. That shaking and that ringing of your ears as in that close proximity, as you hear crack, crack, again and again, almost to the point where all three of you now are hearing these loud cracks of energy, leaving your ears numb and ringing. And as you look up to some of the plateaus of the mesas around you, where those cracks of energy had struck the ground, you begin to see these slowly moving portals begin to open up at various locations around the base of the verdant embrace. Here. 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 And here. 4 locations surrounding the base of the verdant embrace. Before you begin to see humanoid forms step out from these portals. Their shimmering scales glinting off the midday sun. Some of them red, others silver, white, green, black, but all of them either in reddish robes or a mixture of plate and chainmail armor, carrying swords and brandishing the crests of the Jamila dynasty. All around you see more and more of these dragonborn soldiers, accompanied by what looks to be some sort of mages in tow, step out of these portals, surrounding the whole of the verdant embrace, the entrance to the valley, the base of the valley surrounded on all sides by these individuals. As your ears still ring as you stare up at this battalion of soldiers and mages, just as your ears begin to quiet and the shockwave and the crack of those energies, it is replaced by cries of war. And that's where we're going to go ahead and end tonight. We'll pick that up next time.